GM. Yo. Gonna have to be a shorter live stream, unfortunately, today. Had some stuff I had to get taken care of this morning. It's all right. Happy Friday, $4 today, Tracy says. That'd be great. Are back above the $2 region, which is good. Just kind of an artificial zone right there. That's pretty important. No rhyme or reason other than that it's a big whole number. All right, boom. Nice. Okay, we're good. I was trying to I was doing some upgrades on my computer, so hopefully the live streams would come out a little crisper and cleaner. So that's one of those things I was working on in the background to try to get done, and then of course everything had to be reconfigured before the live stream. So SLT is here to give you an AM salute. Educate me. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Shout out to the salute community. Yeah, so I was like reconfiguring all the live stream this morning, and obviously that took a bit longer than anticipated. Let's see what we got. So when do PPI numbers come out? I would assume they're already out. I probably missed it this morning. Anyone know about PPI numbers? Happy Friday, Chadwick. Yeah, happy Friday to everyone in the chat. Oh, looks like I have two of the same chats open right now. That real quick. Hey, from Australia. Good to see you. Guys, make sure you're getting in here early. You smash the like button. Just finished getting the streams configured here. All right, we're good now. Oh, that's the problem. Cool, just catching up on the comments now. PPI -4. Okay. Cyberhawk, so PPI month over month -4, expected 2. Wow. All right, let me take a look at this. I didn't realize those numbers came in so low. PPI. Wow, okay, yeah, so PPI came in really good. Month over month, expected at 2 was a -0.4. 4 was -0.1, expected at 0.3. Year over year was 2.7. So now we have PPI in 2.7 and CPI. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that for inflation. I mean, these inflation numbers are tanking. Absolutely tanking. I'm telling you, the next big thing people are going to be talking about is deflation. The narrative is going to completely flip. Pretty soon you guys are going to wake up and everyone's going to be worried about deflation. That's how these things go. And that's going to be the new narrative. People are going to be like, there's going to be a recession. There's going to be deflation. and the Federal Reserve is going to be talking about how quickly they can cut. Like, that's just, it's the track we're on. Let's see, we should have the new updated inflation numbers on TradingView to take a look at as well. Yep, there we go. Wow. It's really hard to see how the Federal Reserve wouldn't cut on this. So here is the here is the inflation chart. And as you probably can tell, the high range over the last 100 years was sort of in this 3.8 region. The low bar was sort of in this, I don't know, 1 region. I don't know about you guys, but that does not really look like a critical inflation problem to me. To me, that looks like the inflation numbers are pretty good. So it was going to be really interesting to see how the Federal Reserve reacts to this. It's getting really hard to see how they can continue to say that inflation's this huge problem. Rate justification for being high is really difficult. I mean, look at that. That goes back to 1915. Right inside the Federal Reserve's target, we're 0.4 away. I don't understand how they couldn't be rapidly cutting rates right now. Like, are they going to, like, the Federal Reserve in the very beginning of this rate cutting thing was saying, okay, we're not going to wait for the numbers to get to 2, right? We're going to start cutting a bit beforehand. And they did start cutting a bit beforehand, but we are like, they're going to have to cut quickly here. We're going to fall right through 2%. Taylor says, but tariffs. Yes, exactly. The tariffs aren't doing anything to inflation. Inflation's falling off a cliff. Wow. I mean, that's incredible, guys. We are like, it is gone. Like, it is now gone. Like, there's no more worry about a bounce, in my opinion. Like, it's going straight down. And think of all the media people and just people in general who are so scared of the inflation. Everyone was forecasting this to come right back up. It didn't. And that's been the whole media narrative this entire time. They've been dead wrong. It's collapsing. And if the Federal Reserve target is right here, that 2% number, I don't see how they can't change policy beforehand. I really don't. This thing is crashing. We're about to hit that number. I mean, to me, it just seems crazy to think that we haven't even started cutting yet. Did I see the talk about Ripple creating another stablecoin? No, where did you see that? Drop the post in the chat. I would love to check it out. Those are my thoughts on the inflation, though. I mean, guys, these numbers really, you couldn't expect them to really look any better. Vet, good to see you, man. Vet says, are we in a soft landing? It's a great question. It is going to be a soft landing, in my opinion, if the Federal Reserve cuts rates. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't. I don't know why the Federal Reserve wouldn't cut rates with inflation where it's at. I mean, inflation is within the 100-year band for where we should expect it. It's 0.4% off the Federal Reserve's target. And there's never been a scenario where we just stay at the target. I mean, we're there. I don't know what else the Federal Reserve would need to see. If they cut rates aggressively, I don't think there will be any kind of recession. But we're playing a dangerous game here because take a look at this. In the same way inflation has come down, if we take a look at unemployment, unemployment is getting to a very scary point where it looks like it's about to do a rip upwards. Like unemployment looks like we're about to go vertical. And you know, it's just such a dangerous game the Federal Reserve is playing right now. They need to cut rates immediately so unemployment comes back down, or else this chart just looks like it's about to be a straight line upward, and we would like to avoid that. This is the recession indicator right here. Like this is the recession indicator. They need to cut rates before we get that vertical spike, and we're kind of just at that zone right now. As you can see, we kind of creep up and then go parabolic, creep up, then go parabolic, creep up, and then go parabolic. Like it's a very interesting trend we continue to see. And the Federal Reserve has to react beforehand, or we're going to be back in that same position. HK Todd, good to see you, man. I didn't see more stablecoin talk, but for the soft landing to take place, the Federal Reserve needs to cut, in my opinion. Unemployment's creeping up. We're at a decent level right now. Like, it's not bad. But I don't understand why you have high rates if there is no inflation. I can't understand that. Brian K, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. At the end of the day, so like in 2022, we went through a recession, and no one called it a recession because the unemployment data didn't really back it up. So in my opinion, the only way they're going to call it a recession is if the unemployment data backs it up. Gotti seems like he wants to force a recession for some reason, and get unemployment to spike. No, I don't think they want to create a recession. They might want to create fear that there's going to be a recession, but there's no way they want a recession. If they create fear that there's going to be a recession, people will stop spending, and then you can kind of get the economy to a point where inflation dies down even more prior to there being any kind of actual issues. But there's no way they want a recession. If they have a recession, that's a huge hit to Trump and his economic plan. Now, they can blame it on the last administration. They can try to talk their way out of it, but like midterms are around the corner. Like no one's going to want a recession to happen. They're going to do everything they can to prevent that. But what they might want to do is they might want to try to convince the market there's going to be a recession. So the market prices one in, and then it makes it, if it sneaks up, a lot less unexpected. So I don't think they're trying to force a recession. It doesn't really make sense why anyone would want that. And you would want to force a recession if inflation wasn't at 2%, but inflation's at 2%, so there's no point in forcing the recession. The recession is normally like that is accompanied by high interest rates. That's typically really more if they can't control inflation. I mean, inflation's been controlled, in my opinion. I know a lot of people don't agree with the inflation things I say in terms of inflation being under control because they see prices still high, and I totally understand that. I sympathize with that. I buy things too. Prices are still high. It's important to realize, though, that the game is the government data, so we're playing the game with the government data. The government data says inflation is at 2%. Yeah, the government data does say inflation is at 2%. The government data says 2.4% now. And leading indicators show 1.3. So next month, we're going to be below 2% inflation. Like, I can guarantee you that. We'll be at 2.1, 2.2, 2, or even 1.9. The Federal Reserve has to go in. Only 4 likes? Yeah. Guys, make sure to go smash the like on the stream. I don't think this is outside the normal time, and it threw people off a little bit, but make sure to go smash the like button. Really appreciate that. Anyone think Ripple's going to gift XRP to the government? It's possible. I think there would have to be a clause in there that the government would agree not to sell it. But I could see the Ripple gifting XRP to the government if there was some kind of larger use of Ripple's software in the government, or they had some kind of thing they were building out with them. Looks like there's a crypto roundtable today at the SEC. That could be a little interesting. The biggest thing I'm watching though are these inflation numbers. I mean, this is some shocking data, guys. Really shocking data. Let's see what else we got. Just checking the news. It doesn't look like there's too much news coming in at the moment. Art of the deal put pressure on them and give them an out that still wins for them. Yeah, I don't know. Like, here's my opinion on Trump's tariff deal. I think Trump really wanted long-term tariffs. I don't think Trump wanted long-term tariffs enough for the market to continue throwing this fit. I think there will be long-term tariffs. I think it is a very much a negotiating tactic too, though. So I think there's a couple things to it. I think Trump would have loved if the market didn't react the way it did, and he was given more leeway to kind of allow these things to happen. I don't think the Bill Ackman's, I don't know why I'm blanking on his name and saying it wrong. I think a lot of the big investors that came out kind of put pressure on Trump in a place that wasn't really needed. So wasn't really a big fan of seeing a lot of that happen, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. I would have preferred if the market acted a little bit more rational to the tariffs. To me, it seemed like kind of unjustified, the sell-off we had. I think it kind of forced Trump's hand a little bit, but overall, I mean, if countries are negotiating trade deals and those actually start materializing, that's going to be really good. The Federal Reserve is a joke. Well, you know, in my opinion, the Federal Reserve really doesn't do much. In my opinion, it's really just the Federal Reserve is just a piece of the system. I don't really see the Federal Reserve as, like, the Treasury is really the person who is issuing the debt that the Federal Reserve uses to monetize the underlying banks. But the Federal Reserve is more of just a tool, in my opinion. Treasury issues debt, Federal Reserve capitalizes the banking system with that debt. If you want the Federal Reserve not to print money, well, then the Treasury has to stop issuing debt. There's some other weird things with the Federal Reserve, like the privately owned thing, and they're acting like a government institution. I agree with stuff like that being weird, but like when it comes down to the Federal Reserve themselves, I don't know. From my perspective, it's kind of like, well, everyone always says the Federal Reserve creates money, and it's, well, yeah, it's sorta. They do monetize the banking system, but at the same point, it's the Treasury that is the one who's actually issuing the debt. So the Treasury issues debt, the Federal Reserve capitalizes the banks, and the Federal Reserve is just like a tool. You mean a bunch of tools? Oh, that's funny. I like Powell. I know that's probably an uncommon opinion. I'm actually a fan of Powell. I think Powell's done a great job. I think Powell came in probably in one of the hardest times ever to be at the Federal Reserve, and in my opinion, he's done a pretty good job. I know not everyone is I know not everyone's going to agree with that statement, but the Federal Reserve the Federal Reserve was dealt bad policy by the government, and Powell managed to take inflation down from 8% to 2%. So, and so far there really hasn't been a recession. So I think he's done ultimately a pretty decent job. What is my background? Just my kind of office. No green screen. Powell did great during Biden. Well, let's see if Powell cuts. If Powell doesn't cut, then I would start to question Powell. I think he needs. See, Roger, a lot of people say he screwed up transitory inflation, but let's take a look at let's just take a look at the transitory inflation comment, because I think inflation was transitory. This is going to be another unpopular opinion, but I think inflation was transitory. I mean, taking a look at this chart, right? Like, this was the inflation spike. In my opinion, that was pretty transitory, right? Like, inflation spike got bad in 2021 and was gone by 2023. Inflation's a pretty slow moving metric. So in my opinion, was it transitory in the fact that it only lasted 10 days? No, it wasn't 10-day transitory, but was it a systemic problem that we couldn't get rid of? No, we were back to pre-COVID levels. We did a round trip back to pre-COVID levels in the matter of 900 days. So we can argue about what transitory is, but in my opinion, like, that's kind of transitory, you know? Inflation went, did it, and then was done. So he's going to get a lot of hate on the transitory comment, but I sort of do look at it and say, like, was that actually kind of transitory? Isn't transitory like a couple of quarters? Maybe it is. Let me let's see if we can get a definition for transitory. If the definition is a couple quarters, then he got that wrong. I got you, Roger. Let me see if I can get a definition of transitory. I always took transitory as just something that will go away fairly quickly. Wait, Biden's responsible for deflation since it's slow moving? That's funny. Definition of transitory. In by it just says short duration or temporary in nature. So I don't know. It's kind of on the line. Comes down to your definition of transitory. When you're 64, 2 years isn't transitory. Yeah, I mean, I generally agree. I look, I don't think the communication was necessarily great, but at the same time, I also seems like it round tripped pretty quick in my opinion. Quick get to 10 XRP. Good morning, Johnny. Good to see you, man. Oh, Crypto Clay. I wish I could read your comments out loud, but that one I will not be reading. That's so funny. Yeah, I just don't think he should have ever made the comment. He was trying to calm markets. Clearly, he tried to say whatever was going to make the markets think that the inflation was going to be done quickly. In my opinion, the inflation was done pretty quickly. I mean, it definitely didn't get to a point where it's like, no, we can't get rid of inflation. Everyone was talking about inflation as if it was going to be here forever. 10 years from now, we were still going to have inflation. There's going to be a huge recession. They wouldn't be able to get inflation down. And the fact of the matter is, none of that happened. We had a big spike in inflation, then we had a big spike down in inflation. Bad time for retirement? Yeah, I agree. That's a good question. When XRP does hit, are you gonna disappear for safety reasons? No, I won't be disappearing. I mean, I already have good protection already. And no, I'm not gonna live in fear. I mean, I feel well protected. I have the tools to protect myself, and at the end of the day, whether I disappear or not, people already know who I am. Doesn't make any difference. There's a lot of famous people out there, a lot more rich than me, who do just fine. So, not really worried about it. I have the protection in order to protect myself, and at the end of the day, that's all I can do. I love that, Tracy. Yeah, where is MicroStrategy these days? Where's that stock trading? 272. MicroStrategy's really held up pretty well. I'm not gonna lie. MicroStrategy is really holding up really well, shockingly well. Good for Sailor. Wouldn't think in a million years MicroStrategy would be holding up with these kinds of markets declined. I thought MicroStrategy would have gotten eviscerated. So good for Sailor. That stock is remaining pretty high, which is impressive. Really impressive. The fact that MicroStrategy is hasn't even had any parabolic crash yet is shocking. Very, very shocking. I love you, Crypto Clay. Strategy not buying Bitcoin. I want to find the more Ripple stablecoin news. I think that'd be cool. Oh, DXY dropping like a rock. Let's take a look at that. Wow. Okay, this is crazy. We just hit a brand new low on the dollar. Oh boy, this is crash. Take a look at this. We're back down. We're down to 99 on the dollar. That crashes right through that long-term support. We were at this the other day. We are tanking on the dollar. Okay, I did not realize this was going on. Okay, so the dollar is in full-on crash mode. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw the dollar come down to low 90s. This is something we've been watching in the side, but the dollar moves so slowly. It's hard to constantly be tracking what's going on there. But we are seeing a huge crash in the dollar right now. Ultimately, this is good for low rates, and this is good for investments. So it's definitely good to be seeing this. But it's happening pretty rapidly. We're seeing some big red candles come in, and typically when the dollar sells off, it sells off hard. So we're seeing a pretty big movement here. What's my educational background? I don't really have an educational background. Just doing this and seeing what people like, seeing what people don't like, and just trying to explain some of these hard concepts to people. Um, the dollar selling off is terrible for rates. Well, it's a reflection that if the market thinks the dollar, it's a reflection that the market thinks rates are going down. Typically, when rates are going up, you see spikes in the dollar. Typically, when the dollar is going down, you see rates dropping. So Yeah, Firedog is having some awesome spaces on X, so make sure to follow him over on X. Got some great spaces over there. Yeah, we need to get interest rates down so we can renegotiate the debt. That's why Trump is creating chaos. Brian, I completely agree. I think you're on the money. I think that's why there's talks about the recession. They want to do as much as they can to talk the market down, talk rates down without having the market actually needing to go down because cracks or catastrophic problems in the economy. And guys, talk about everyone just getting all of this wrong. I mean, mainstream media has been completely wrong. The people going on CNBC have been completely wrong. Everyone's been so wrong about inflation, about the tariffs. It's just been completely incorrect. Guys, with that said, though, I apologize. I started this one off a little late. I've got to jump. Thank you guys so much for coming. Have a great weekend. We'll be back next week. Guys, thank you for everything you do to support the channel. It really means the world. Love being able to get on in these live streams in the morning and just see everything happening. Guys, I'll talk with you later.